Hello and welcome to Tara's Reality. Today's recap is of New York Goes to Hollywood, Episode 2, Actress vs. Celebrity. The episode starts with New York feeling eager to find a manager after her showcase performance the day before. Then the phone rings and, surprise, it's Chuck Binder, a talent manager who wants to meet New York and discuss representation. So the ladies go over to meet him and his assistant, who's also named Tiffany. Then Chuck says,
"You could be our Queen Latifah."
I understand typecasting, but sir, what do you mean? New York is flattered by the comparison at first, but then worries that Chuck might want her to gain weight. I guess these comments are supposed to show New York's naivety when it comes to the entertainment industry, but it's just another instance in this series where being fat or plus size is portrayed to be a bad or undesirable thing. Personally, I think everyone should mind their own bodies and business, but I digress. During the meeting, Liza is portrayed to be disruptive. And I say portrayed because, as we already established in the episode 1 recap, New York Goes to Hollywood is your typical manufactured VH1 reality show. Chuck starts to get annoyed by Liza just because she's showing interest in what he's saying by taking notes and providing him with New York's materials, because apparently he didn't go to her showcase, which is definitely a plot hole and doesn't make sense. Because how did he get her contact information? And how does he think New York has crossover potential if he hasn't seen her previous work? I know this isn't a real meeting, and for the record, Liza didn't do anything wrong. You should be taking notes, asking questions, learning as much as you can about the company, and bring your materials when seeking representation. Chuck tells Liza to lay back a little, and if she doesn't, then they'll ask her to leave, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I wish New York stood up for Liza, considering everything she's done for her already. But instead, New York compares Liza to a pushy stage mom.
Bitch, you just my personal assistant. You there to fetch me drinks.
Which again is confusing, disrespectful, and inconsistent. But New York is impressed with Chuck's agency and is excited to book roles. So he sends her out on a couple auditions that same day, which obviously wouldn't necessarily happen in real life. As a freelance actor and model, sometimes auditions do come up sporadically and last minute, but you know what? We gotta give New York something to do, so let's go. New York arrives at her first audition, and I find what she says to be extremely relatable.
It sucked to see other people at the audition. I wanted to be like I was the only one that was fit for the part.
Obviously, it's almost never just you that's being considered for a role, but it's always a humbling and sometimes intimidating experience to realize, oh shit, that's my competition. Speaking of which, the other actress in the room named Kelly recognizes New York and tries to strike up a conversation. But New York is focused on learning her side, so she declines in a sorta rude way, which adds some tension between them. Something I forgot to mention in the last recap is that especially in the early 2000s, reality TV was considered a breakout opportunity for the average person, or anyone really, to gain exposure, fame, or career advancements. That sentiment may still apply to some franchises now, but the most comparable thing we have today is a social media influencer. Someone whose brand is personality-driven, attention-grabbing, possibly controversial, entertaining, etc. And having a large following on platforms can potentially open doors that would otherwise remain closed. However, some traditional entertainers and industries don't take reality TV stars or influencers seriously because of their come-up, which adds yet another layer to Kelly and New York's feud. Kelly auditions first and is praised by the casting director, Fern Champion, as she leaves. By the way, the show never tells us what this audition is even for. New York mentions something about Condoleezza Rice, but it's never made clear. Now it's New York's turn. She admits to Fern that she wishes she had more time with the script and struggles with some of the words.
Thank you, Ambassador. understand your concern about legislation.
I don't know how actors did it before, but I'm grateful for today's technology for allowing us to easily look up pronunciations on our phones as needed. New York feels defeated, which is also something I can relate to, such as when I auditioned for a period piece set in like the 1800s or something. Not only was there unfamiliar vocabulary, but because I didn't fully understand what my character was saying, I obviously couldn't deliver a good or convincing performance. As frustrating, embarrassing, and unfortunate as it can be, it's never a good look. But Fern gives New York another chance, and I'm so sorry to laugh, it's even worse the second time.
It is an authoritarian system. I'm going to stop you.
After Fern tells her that she didn't get the part, New York breaks down. No offense, but are we supposed to feel sorry for her? Because she's crying about how bad she wants to be cast and how much her heart is in acting. Sounds familiar? But because it's reality TV, she's barely making an effort and there are no stakes. I'm not trying to be rude because we're all emotional human beings, but casting directors aren't going to cast the person they feel bad for. They're going to cast the person who can play the part. New York goes to her second audition and, surprise, who does she see? Kelly. New York seems annoyed and confused.
There's like 20 million people in LA. Why is this girl following me?
As if Kelly isn't most likely a real actor hired by production to antagonize her throughout the series. Just like last time, Kelly auditions first and it seemingly goes well. On her way out, she tells the other girls to break a leg, to which New York replies,
I don't want to break a leg. I'm going to get the part. That's what I'm going to do.
Which is kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Their interaction is reminiscent of New York's time on Flavor of Love, as part of her personality is to be arrogant, mean, and competitive, especially to those who want the same thing she does. Again, sound familiar? Now it's New York's turn, and the casting director, Victoria Burrows, seems to be a little more personable than Fern. Although some casting directors, in my experience, put up a front or don't say much at all. Also, why is New York sitting down with her shoes off? Victoria reminds her of the character description, which includes a southern accent, and New York is determined to make a strong impression.
Mr. Taingsley.
Of course, Victoria gives her some notes, like never touching the casting directors, but instead connect with them by evoking a reaction with her performance. She asks New York to read again, but this time to be more upset than pleading. And she does better?
I may be young and naive, but I do know candy.
Victoria is impressed by New York's ability to take direction and improve her performance, but she also recommends that she starts taking acting classes. So Chuck sets up New York with Scott Sedita, a teacher who's also training some of Chuck's other talent. When New York arrives, guess who's also there? Kelly.
I'm so sick of this bitch.
And I'm so sick of this manufactured drama. Scott introduces new students to the class by playing the want game, which is an exercise where you work with a partner and take turns saying what you want with different intentions/motivations. Scott chooses another actor, Voss, to play against New York. And it starts off okay.
I want you to love me.
I want to be just friends.
But then it escalates.
We are only going to be friends. I told you from the beginning that's all this was.
I had your child.
Scott praises them for their performances, despite the dramatic ending. Speaking of drama, New York and Kelly get into it once again, and Scott pulls New York aside to talk things through. New York feels embarrassed and understands that her behavior is unacceptable, and Scott finally explains to her what break a leg means.
Something that somebody says to wish you good luck.
He also brings Kelly back in hopes of squashing their beef, and their exchange kinda goes as expected.
And I'm not trying to take that route with you.
Yeah, that
I
would be
apologize.
a very bad route for you to take because you might be a bitch, but I'm the HBIC.
And speaking of that, Scott says,
You're both bitches, so get the fuck out of here.
which honestly shocked me. I know it's reality TV, but how can a teacher reprimand a student while simultaneously setting a bad example? New York leaves the acting class and, surprise, Voss is waiting for her outside. She tells him what happened and how bothered she is by Kelly and all the drama, but Voss encourages her to stop worrying about everyone else and focus on herself, along with the positives. Low-key pretty good advice. It's obvious that the show is setting up a love interest for New York, even though Taylor Made is still in the picture. Yikes. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about everything we just watched and any fun facts or anecdotes related to the show down in the comment section. Please like this video if you did, and subscribe for more nostalgia and reality TV recaps. Bye.